Hi, I'm Dr. JeNeen of Better Health Solutions. I'm known for giving people hope and guidance in overcoming their chronic and non-resolving health issues, and also helping to optimize energy and vitality. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about energy. There's a right and a wrong way to get your energy. So today I'm going to be exposing energy drinks. This topic is going to be super fun. I've put together a presentation for you. I've got all kinds of show and tell here, and so I'm really excited to get into it. And I want you to know that if you drink energy drinks, this is for you. If you have a teenager, if you have a young adult, this is for you because I guarantee they're probably drinking these things or experimenting with them or having them at the gym. The use is so prevalent, I did not even know. So, we're going to get into it and we're going to have some fun. Now, basically, the topic is the false promise of energy drinks. And there's times where we all get into some trouble where we need a little help with our energy. We may not be getting enough sleep. We may be, going really hard at work or going really hard at school, staying up late studying or working out, really killing it in the gym. And we might need a little extra help. And that is okay. But there's a right and a wrong way to do everything. So these drinks, it's a false promise of energy. They contain hundreds of milligrams of caffeine, usually between 150 to 300 milligrams of caffeine, upwards of 60 grams of sugar. And I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. And then there's all kinds of hidden, I call it gunk, additives, artificial colors, flavors, chemicals. It's just it really, the way that looks on the screen, it looks like some toxic soup. That's really what we're dealing with here. So let's go ahead and jump in. I love this graphic here because it really just it gives me the heebie-jeebies, right? It gives me the heebie-jeebies. You got this fluorescent color and ew, it just really puts it into perspective what we are drinking. So first of all, the caffeine overload. 150 to 300 milligrams of caffeine. That is a lot. The typical cup of coffee contains about 60 to 100. This is like having multiple cups of coffee all at once. And the kicker is that most people are drinking more than one of these. They may be back to back, or they may have one and then another, or they may start the day with a couple cups of coffee and then have in the afternoon, one or two of these things. I have watched people drink them back to back, and I'm cringing on the inside. So the FDA puts out a guideline that considers 400 milligrams of caffeine to be okay, to be generally safe. But it's really easy to overdo that, and a lot of people can't handle it. Did you know there's actually a gene? There's actually, if you get your DNA run, there's actually a gene that says you can handle caffeine really well or you cannot. Like your body doesn't break it down. And I know people personally that they just have a little bit of caffeine and it disrupts their sleep and they get cranky and irritable and anxious. And so it's all individual, but oftentimes it's overdone unintentionally. And what I've also noticed is that a lot of the products out here, especially the sports supplements, let's just say that category, they tend to be really, really high in caffeine. You might have one thing that's 300, 350 milligrams. It is just crazy to me. Oh my gosh. And then the capsules, there's so many things out here. So you've got to be really cognizant of where caffeine is coming from, what the forms are, and what you're giving your body to be able to naturally make energy. Okay. And we're going to talk about the chemical cocktail. The can typically contains 20 to 60 plus grams of sugar, right? Then on top of that, artificial sweeteners, artificial flavors, colors, synthetic dyes, all of these things. You'll often see like flavoring will be a word, or you'll see proprietary blend, and that's how they hide some of the chemicals that are not good for you behind that. So, first off, let's talk about all this sugar. Let's talk about the sugar. These things are sugar bombs. This is a label. This is the old school, right? One of the first ones that I know of anyway. Um, People still drink it. I think it looks like that fluorescent picture that we saw on the first screen. Or no, that's not that one because this one I think is red. But anyway, they have a lot of problems. So we're going to look at this label and we're going to see that it contains 41 grams of carbohydrates, 38 grams of added sugar. That is a lot of sugar. Um, when we're talking about added sugar, when you often look at the label, you might see glucose, You might see sucrose, you might see fructose, you might see high corn syrup, fructose. All of these different labels are sugar. But the bottom line is they tend to contain about 54 to 63 grams of sugar per 16-ounce can. And this amounts to 13 to 15 teaspoons of sugar, okay? This is well over the daily value of how much sugar you're supposed to have in an entire day. And when you think about it, a lot of your foods breaks down into sugar, so you have to count that. Popcorn, rice, potatoes, all of these things break down into sugar in your system. So this is an additive effect. So I wanted to show you, this is going to be the first show and tell here because it says 13 to 15 teaspoons of sugar. I want to show you what that looks like. And there's a very simple calculation that I want you to know. Look at your label, okay? Look at your label, see the grams of sugar, and divide it by 4. And that's going to give you how many teaspoons of sugar is in that product. But I just want to show you I will just start with the lower end, 13. I want to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to get some sugar here, and I've got a little glass. Let me get in the picture here. Okay, I've got a little glass, and I am going to show you what it looks like. All right, so this is every time I do this. Actually, is this? Let me make sure I have the teaspoon. Nope, that's not it. So I've got a teaspoon, and I'm going to show you what 13 grams of sugar looks like. And the reason why this is an issue is because sugar, when you have too much, it causes a lot of problems. It causes a lot of inflammation in your body. That's 4. I'm trying to count and talk at the same time. 5. Promotes insulin resistance. 6. 7. Oh my gosh. 8. 9. 10. And I'm really going to count out every single one because you got to get the visual. 11. 12. 13. 13 teaspoons of sugar looks like this. This is how much sugar is in that one can. Now, you might be having 2. You might have a can of an energy drink and a can of a cola. Oh my gosh. So this is 13 grams. We're going to go ahead and put the other 2 in here so you can see how this is just so much strain on your system. But what this does is, gee, my goodness. Okay. 15 grams of sugar right here. This is what it looks like. Now, you would never just go and dish this out and add a little water to it and drink it, right? You would never do that. But it hides. You don't realize how much you're getting. So I'm going to keep this up here because I really want you to get this. So fructose increases uric acid, which can cause gout, inflammation, joint pain. Sugar is a primary promoter of inflammation, which is at the root of all the chronic and degenerative diseases. It is enemy number 1 to good health. I say that all the time. The first thing you're told, if you're seeing somebody who, like a naturopathic doctor, and you have any kind of chronic and degenerative disease, the first thing you're told is you got to get all this sugar out of your diet. It promotes severe insulin resistance, which causes diabetes, right? Which causes heart disease, kidney disease, and all these other things. It increases the visceral fat, which is the unhealthy fat between your organs that causes you a lot of problems. Elevates your triglycerides. When I do blood work on people and they have a really high triglyceride level, there's no way they can tell me that they're not overeating sugars and processed foods and junk. And they have to admit it every time because we can see it on the labs. You know, looks just like this on the labs. And then, it drives your energy all over the place. So you're going to get a spike in energy, right? Quick energy. Then you're going to get the crash. And then what happens once you get the crash? You start looking for snacks. You start looking for other drinks, the coffee, the tea, the energy drinks, the sodas, the snacks, all of these things. It's a cycle. It's all a cycle. So we're going to break that cycle, okay? You got that one? I'm going to move on. All right, so let's look at Celsius. This is another one of the products. This is what the grown folks do. They drink the Celsius. They think they're better because it's sparkling water energy drink, okay? Um, the thing about this is that there's a lot of deception in here too. So Celsius is no sugar. So you're not getting this. However, it's full of sucralose. If you look at the label, you're going to see sucralose. Well, what is sucralose? It's the little yellow packets. I'm not going to call it by the brand name, but it's the little yellow packets. So if you're trying to avoid the artificial sweeteners, it's in there. And sucralose is sneaky. They are putting that in so many products. I am seeing it everywhere. I'm even seeing it in products that have sugar, and then they add the sucralose on top of it. And I think they do it as a flavor enhancer and to make it more addicting. So anyway, this one is full of sucralose. It also has Ace K. This is another artificial sweetener that's very common. You're going to see that. What do these things do in the body? Well, in addition to being toxic to your nervous system, they're really toxic to your gut. They really mess with the healthy bacteria that you have. It's called the microbiota, messes it up completely, right? And when that happens, your body cannot make its enzymes properly, so your digestion can suffer. And guess what else is made in your gut by this microbiota? Your happy feel good hormones, your serotonin, your dopamine, these neurotransmitters that you need for your brain to be healthy. And so a lot of times you're taking these things, and this mess I just made is driving me crazy. It's one thing you'll find when you watch my videos long enough. There's always some quirkiness in here because I can't stand it. I got to get that. I spilled a little bit of sugar and I got to get it up. Okay, there we go. Um, but it messes with your body's ability to make the proper neurotransmitters. And so this can cause you to feel down. This can cause mood imbalances, all of those issues that have all these named, all these named mental health issues. A lot of it is what we are putting into our bodies. So you've got to be really, really cautious of that. Metabolic confusion. Research suggests that artificial sweeteners may impair glucose tolerance and change the body's natural insulin response. What does that mean? That means that even though there's no sugar in this product, it is affecting your body's ability to metabolize and utilize things properly, so that when you do eat sugar, your signaling might be off. And this is why we see people that you're like, why is this person overweight when they're eating all this diet food? This is one of the reasons. Throws the signaling off, and it may cause you to seek out carbohydrates and sugar in other places at other times. So the takeaway is that zero sugar does not equal biological neutrality. It doesn't mean it's a good thing. Now, I also want to point out, you can't see it on this label, but Celsius actually contains one of the highest amounts of caffeine of all of these drinks. Celsius actually contains 200 milligrams of caffeine. Okay, 200. It's very, very potent. You got 2 cans, you're already at the top of what the FDA considers safe. And you may have had coffee, you may have something else, and God forbid you have even more. So anyway, you get the point. Now, you'll also see on here there's the label from Monster Zero or Monster Zero Ultra. Um, the thing I want to point out about Monster, and this is a whole different topic, but that little symbol, that little logo, um, there's a lot of speculation that there's more behind that, and that in a different language that actually says 666. So do with that information as you will, but I just wanted to point that out. Again, same problems across the line with all of these different drinks, same issues. Doesn't really matter what you call it. Now, this one is funny. This is the better for you trap. Okay, this is the better for you trap. It's marketed as a better for you energy drink. There's only half the caffeine. There's 100 milligrams. It's in line with a cup of coffee. It's marketed as zero sugar, only 5 calories, and it's sweetened with stevia and allulose. Okay, so on the surface, you're like, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. The problem, the problem on your screen here is that while avoiding the worst chemicals offenders, it continues to rely entirely on nervous system stimulation. So again, we're just hitting the nervous system really hard. We're causing that spike and that drop, and we're causing the body to just have this nervous type of energy. But that's not even the biggest problem for me. The biggest problem for me, I'm going to go to a different screen here. And the biggest problem for me is the fact that, let me pull it up for you. Go right here. Biggest problem for me is that it's called liquid death. Okay. It is called liquid death. Liquid death. Energetically, do you want to put anything in your body that's literally called death? No. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Some of the flavors include it's so scary. Scary strawberry, tropical terror, orange horror, and murder mystery. Oh, no. So yeah, that's a problem for me. I am very cautious about the words that I use. I'm very cautious about what I say to myself. I'm definitely going to be very cautious about what somebody else made and called liquid death and now want me to drink it. So, yeah, marketing is really a big thing. But that I'm not going to do. All right, so let's jump back. Let's jump back in here. And okay, let's talk about the hidden chemical load. You've got synthetic dyes. I'm not even going to get into it. You know the dyes are bad. They have now been banned. It's going to take a while to get them out, but thank God they've been banned because they cause all kinds of problems for our nervous system, behavior, etc. We all know this. It's no good thing. Red 40, as a matter of fact, I'm just going to point this out. Red 40, because it's so pervasive, but red 40 is actually estrogenic. It actually is an endocrine disruptor. It messes up your hormones. So if you're drinking a lot of things that have red and you're eating red candy, this is cumulative in your body. And this could be one of the reasons why your hormones are off. For men, it could be one of the reasons why your testosterone is not as high as it needs to be. Just think about it. Okay. All right. So proprietary flavors, natural flavors often contains processed chemicals. That's one of the ways they hide it. We've talked about that. Now, the cycle of metabolic borrowing. This is where we get into this huge cycle. So the golden rule is stimulants do not create energy, right? They stimulate adrenaline. They get your nervous system jazzed up. They put you in this sympathetic overdrive. You have two aspects to your autonomic nervous system, which works in the background. It's a big word, but it just works in the background, controls things like your breathing, your heart rate, your temperature, your digestive secretions, your hormonal secretions. All of these things are controlled by this nervous system. It has two branches, sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic is the fight or flight, the get up and go. Parasympathetic, healing, rest, recuperation, digestion, reproduction. We got to have a healthy balance. When we're pushing adrenaline, we're pushing the sympathetic, we're exhausting our adrenal glands, which has a lot to do with it. And we're causing our body to have a chronic low level of fatigue that we then have to constantly fight. So we get the blood sugar spike, okay, which our body responds, compensatory physiology, our body compensates, it responds with a massive insulin surge. Insulin's job is to take the sugar, take it out of the bloodstream, put it into the tissues, right? So we get this massive insulin surge. Then over time, because we keep doing this, we get a cortisol elevation. This is that sympathetic dominance I was telling you about. Cortisol is a stress hormone. Cortisol, basically, one of the things that it does is break things down. It provides quick energy to your brain, but in doing so, it ends up putting belly fat around your middle. So when you're chronically having that elevated cortisol, trashes your sleep, but it also makes you fat. There we go. Deep sleep disruption. Deep sleep disruption. That's a huge problem. And then you have next day fatigue. And because you feel tired, because you're now in a slump, what do? You start the whole thing all over again. And this is just as it says, high interest metabolic loan. It's a loan. It's a loan, and your body has to pay the debt tomorrow. And this is how you get stuck in that cycle. So, one of the things that happens with these drinks is that people don't realize the effect that they're having until all of a sudden they're having all of these symptoms in their body. These drinks lead to a lot of emergency room visits, a lot of emergency interventions. People feel like they're having a panic attack or they feel like they're having a heart attack. Their heart is racing. They can't slow it down. They don't know what's going on. So they seek out emergency medical care. Adolescents and young adults are one of the primary populations where this is happening. And a lot of times their body is like, what is this? This is new. What's happening? Am I under attack? And so they will seek out that care to try to find out what's happening. Some of the clinical symptoms that you'll see is that elevated heart rate. Sometimes it feels like the heart is skipping a beat, the palpitations, increased blood pressure. Now, sometimes you go in the doctor with increased blood pressure. They immediately stick you on a medicine, right, to lower the blood pressure, coming with all of its side effects and things that come with it, without ever asking any questions. You might be drinking 2 of these Celsius a day, and that's why your blood pressure is high. So you have to be a detective. You have to think about these things. You have to know this information. And that's why I'm here. Okay. Chest pain is another one. Anxiety, panic. These things can cause severe anxiety, especially in susceptible populations, people that don't handle it or don't break it down as well. And it can even cause heart rhythm problems. Okay. Big deal. It's a big deal. So I always have to throw a little verse in here. We do have a stewardship mandate. We have to take care of ourselves. It is in the Bible. 1 Corinthians 6, 19 through 20. Your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. So we have to honor God with our bodies, right? So it is up to us to take the information and make some positive choices. You've got to make better choices for better health. This is our mandate. This is our duty. We only get one body to live in, right? So let's look at how we can shift our mindset and start to do things a little bit differently. We're going to first redefine true vitality, real energy. Energy is not stimulation. It's not that jazzed up feeling that you get when you get a shot of caffeine. Energy is mitochondria. You know what the mitochondria are? They're the little, there's one right there on the screen, but they're the little organelles in your cells that actually make ATP. ATP is the energy molecule of the body. We got to nourish those and make them happy. Energy is metabolic flexibility. Flexibility, the body's ability to efficiently switch fuel sources between carbohydrates, fats, back and forth easily. Energy is micronutrient sufficiency. So many times people lack energy simply because they don't have the nutrients needed to make it. The B vitamins and the phytonutrients and all the things that we get from our food, we're not eating enough good foods and or taking a good multivitamin, whole food of course, that's going to give us these nutrients. And so your body's trying to rob Peter to pay Paul to try to make something work, but it's inefficient because you just don't have the raw materials. You don't have the genuine replacement parts. Energy is stable blood sugar. The adrenals have so much to do with this. Keeping your blood sugar stable between meals so that you're not having those ebbs and flows. When that's not happening, you're not going to be reaching for all of those things that you would typically reach for. And energy is good sleep quality. We got to start there. You can't get 3, 4 hours of sleep and then get up the next day and expect to function optimally. And this is how we're getting into trouble. True recovery means you've got to set your habits to where you're getting that good restorative sleep. Okay. So lifestyle is really where it starts, but I'm just going to tell you some of the things that you can use because people are using all of these energy drinks, and I want to give you some options. So, I work with Optimal Health Systems. The reason why is because they have a philosophy where they take things from the farm to the family. Everything is whole food, nothing is synthetic, nothing is made in a lab. Everything is highly absorbable because it's pre-digested with enzymes through a proprietary process. Absolute game changer. You know, you can take the same nutrients, pre-digest them, making them so much more absorbable, so where you don't need a ton, you just need a little bit and your body knows what to do with it because it's the way it came from nature. All the minerals and things, everything is naturally chelated. Wonderful. There's no synthetics, there's no artificial colors, flavors, all of that stuff. Okay, so that's why I love this line. Now we're going to talk about cellular fuel and foundations. One of my favorite things, especially for people that have been on energy drinks and you're wanting to get off, but you're used to having a little bit of a kick. One of my favorite products for that is called Be Awake. I don't have a bottle to show you because I actually have put mine into a custom pack and I take it. So I have a custom packet that looks like this. Um, it's got, the vitamins in here that some of which I'm going to talk about. But Be Awake is a formula that is full of the B vitamins that your body needs to make natural energy, that helps you to methylate, that helps you to be able to detoxify, that kind of fuels those mitochondria. But what I love about it too is that it does have a little bit of natural caffeine coming from natural sources. So you don't have that really strong hit like caffeine anhydrous, the chemical version. It's just like boom. I mean, it hits you hard and you're wide awake. And then you're like this. Don't screenshot that. So we don't have that in there. It's all natural energy, green tea, that kind of thing. And it's going to give you just the nutrients so that your body can produce good energy. Now, one of the other things I like about it is that it does have niacin in it, and it gives you that little flushing feeling, and I like that. Some people are like, "Oh my God, I'm having an allergic reaction." No, no, no. It's opening up your circulation. It's allowing the blood to flow up to your brain to stimulate you. So I like to put, I have two Be Awakes in my packet in the morning. I like to start the day off with that. Not always, but most of the time, I just like the way that feels. And then I've got brain nutrients in there and blood flow nutrients and everything to kind of get everything awake and going. Um, Another good product, I don't think I have here, this is some Be Awake. Optimal, I'm sorry, this is BFF. That was Be Awake. Optimal BFF. That stands for Blood Flow Flexibility Formula. And I like Be Awake because it tastes good. It's like a little treat. Be Awake is actually a chewable, little chewable like this. I'm gonna leave one out so I can take it. Um, but it's a little chewable and it has creanitric. So it has creatine bound to plant nitrates. What that does is increases your nitric oxide, which helps the oxygen to flow. It helps your blood flow. Great for blood pressure, opening up the circulation. Critical for just giving you those nutrients you need to be able to make ATP. We're going to talk more about creatine in a minute. So I like the BFF. Then we want to make sure we are healing from burnout. So many of us are doing, first of all, have lifestyle habits that are just like go, 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 go all the time, not getting the proper amount of rest that is needed. And so, one of my favorite things for replenishing and rebuilding the body is called OptiAdrenal. This is what it looks like. OptiAdrenal, designed to nourish and support exhausted adrenal glands, helping to restore a healthy stress response. I absolutely love this product. This product has adrenal glandular in it and it's pre-digested. So it gives your adrenal glands the actual raw materials so that they can rebuild. And then it also has adaptogens and B vitamins and the nutrients that the adrenals need. So in today's stress-filled world, this product is like I have to have it because we're constantly being bombarded. If it's not the chemicals, it's the EMFs, it's the foods, it's in the water, it's the air, what they're spraying, everything. Our body is constantly under attack. Traffic, right? Traffic. So anyway, OptiAdrenal. That's also in my packet. I take one of those every single morning. Make sure I've got that in my system. Now, another adrenal formula is Court Adrena. Court Adrena is a little bit different. This one doesn't include the glandular. This one was designed to lower cortisol, that stress hormone I talked about. So this one has that calming effect. People that are like wired but tired, wound up, can't sleep at night. This is going to help to bring that cortisol down. It's also going to help with that cortisol-induced belly fat. But this one has a lot of the ashwagandha and the what is the word that I'm looking for? Adaptogenic herbs. So I love this one for that effect. Um, Another thing about cortisol, this is a side note that says nothing to do with energy, but it has boron, which really helps to unbind your hormones and let them work optimally. All right. Just happened to see that when I glanced at the label. Now, the next thing, ultimate mitochondrial power. So this right here is going to be your fuel for ATP. Those mitochondria that work so hard to keep us energized and fueled, well, they need fuel and they need raw materials to make this ATP. So, the two raw materials that actually make and recycle ATP, D-ribose. D-ribose is the molecule that forms the backbone of that energy molecule. And creatine, optimal creatine. Now, optimal creatine is the game changer creatine that I talked about. Um, can't stress enough how amazing this particular instantized creatine is. I've actually got these in my water right now. And as you can see, it is clear. It is 100%, you know, instantized and absorbable. I'm going to take a little swig. Creatine basically allows your body to be able to recycle that ATP molecule. So as it breaks down and liberates the energy in your body, it's able to quickly recycle it so that your energy stays high. Now, another great thing about this is that it fuels your brain. So if you happen to have not gotten a good night of sleep and you're feeling kind of sluggish the next day, using a higher dose of creatine, 10, 15, 20 grams, is going to be game changer. So again, that is the optimal creatine. It is the best deal and the best creatine on the market. I have to say this that big bag is a really, really, really good deal. So I'm going to put some of the links to these products in the show notes so that you have them. If you want to get some of this stuff, if you want to have it on hand, try it out, and put those down there for you. Now, another thing that really helps in the mitochondria with that energy is Nano Blue. And it's such a cute little box. Nano Blue is one of OHS's newer formulas, and it is a methylene blue, but it is what we like to say organified methylene blue. There are specific things in there that help it to donate energy to your body without robbing your body of anything to do the process. So the way that I do this, I put it in a little glass, and this says cheers, tinctures and remedies. I actually made these for my 50th birthday. And I use these to take my tinctures to energize homeopathics and things like that. So I get a little water, and I'm going to get something in case I get clumsy. So I'll set that on something. And I get my methylene blue, and I just put a squirt in the water. And the reason why I'm doing this is because people fear methylene blue. They're like, oh my God, am I going to turn all blue? You don't have to turn all blue. Now, if you put it under your tongue and hold it there, you're probably going to turn blue, but it doesn't last that long. Um, but one of the keys to alleviating that, if you turn a little blue, is to just chew a whole C afterwards, um, because the reaction with the vitamin C will turn it back clear. It turns clear in your body. It goes back and forth as it provides energy. So anyway, I'll show you that. So this is my methylene blue. Cheers. Okay. See, just a little blue. And then I've got my whole C. So what does it say? Stop borrowing and start building. Stop borrowing and start building. We have to create real sustainable energy within our bodies. There's one more thing that I do. Let me see if I can pull it up really quickly. Um, One more thing that I like to do, and I'm just going to show you really quickly, is within my AO scanner, I love to run frequencies that donate energy. So this particular frequency is energy boost, and I can literally send myself energy boosting frequencies because we are energetic just as much as we are biochemical, and it all matters. So that's another thing that I do. So I hope that you got something out of that. I hope that you gained maybe a little bit more understanding, maybe a little bit more understanding than what you had before, maybe an aha moment about one or two of the things that you may be, ingesting. I really want you to keep this near and dear. I want you to remember this because there's a lot of hidden sources. There's a lot of hidden sources. And in this world today, it is impossible to be healthy by mistake. We have to be proactive with our health. We have to proactively think about what we're doing, and we have to proactively make better choices for better health. And that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm sharing. So think about one thing that you can do better today, and that's going to be good enough for today. All right. Have a great day, everybody, and I will see you next time. Dr. JeNeen Ridgway signing off.